So it's pretty clear that our sediment's going to get deposited in a basin, right, which is just basically a soup bowl. And sometimes those soup bowls can form from subsidence, which is a word that should be familiar to you because that's what all of New Orleans is doing, as well as all of the Gulf of Mexico. Right? So subsidence is a land that is sinking, right? So during sedimentation, during the compaction and cementation part, right, it's causing our land to sink, and that sinking land can easily collect sediment. We can form sedimentary basins in several ways. The first is through a rift basin. So here we have an area that's being pulled apart by rifting, and as you see these areas kind of fall downwards as a result of the breakage, right, well, we've got these nice basins, right, that are sitting here. And these basins tend to get filled in with quite a bit of sediment. We can also form a sedimentary basin on a passive margin. So basically out here, right at the edge of our continental shelf, this area is kind of settling and sinking, so it's definitely subsiding, right, causing a small little basin to form. We can also get intercontinental basins, and these are fun. All of our intercontinental basins pretty much formed during the Paleozoic, so between 545 and 650 million years ago. Basically what happens is we've got this really old continental floor, and all the sedimentation that's occurring on top of it is warping that floor and causing these really big basins to form. So you can see there's lots of basins all over. And of course all sorts of important minerals form there, such as salt, right, forms in our basins. We can also get a foreland basin, which happens right at the base of the mountain. So our mountains become very, very heavy, as you can see here in this picture. So as they become heavy, they kind of push down on the land, and you get this basin that sits right in front of the mountains. Of course, we're also very worried about what sea level is doing. So sea level can generically do one of two things. It can either rise or it can fall. When sea level rises, we call it a transgression. So basically what happens here is our sediments shifting landward. So whereas my beach was once here, as sea level rises, my beach migrates. So we lose land during a transgression. However, during a regression is where we get sea level fall. This is where I'm gaining land. So here was the beach, but since my sea level is dropping, my beach and all the other environments are going to have to migrate with the water. We can also summarize everything by looking at diagenesis. And this is what happens to the sediment after it's been deposited. So as we've seen, we can get bioturbation, which is organisms burrowing down into the ground, mixing up the sediment. We're going to get lithification, which is the compaction and cementation of our rocks, or making them actually solid rocks. We can get dissolution, which is where groundwater works through the rocks and starts dissolving it. Or we can get mineral precipitation, right, which is where my minerals are going to form out of the water column itself.